This is Retirement News Online. According to a simulated model by Morningstar's Center for Retirement and Policy Studies that factors in things like changes in health, nursing home costs, and demographics, about 45% of Americans who leave the workforce at age 65 are likely to run out of money during retirement. Now, the study showed that the risk is higher for single women, who had a 55% chance of running out of money, versus 40% for single men and 41% for couples. Joining me is Troy Tremblay in Nashville, Tennessee. So, Troy, talk about how sequence of returns risk can be an important factor here.
Yeah, so I would say that when someone, especially when someone is at or near retirement, it's very important to address risk in a critical fashion. And when I say that, we look at the stock market and how volatile it can be. That can be very unsettling to someone that's, again, at or near retirement, because that's their nest egg. They need to be able to live off of that for the rest of their lives. They need to make sure they don't outlive their money. And protecting that from stock market risk, interest rate risk, inflation risk, those are all very important risks to consider when planning for and implementing a retirement strategy. Additionally, I would say that just making sure that it's diversified amongst other investments, that can help lower the risk exposure, the standard deviation, if you will. And those are all factors that we take into consideration when planning for anyone's retirement, because there are all different types of risks out there. As I mentioned earlier, interest rate risk, that can have an effect on bonds. Traditionally, people have thought that bonds are a safe investment to use for their retirement strategy. Well, when interest rates rise, bond prices can come down, and that can be very unsettling for investors during their retirement years.
Troy, talk about the importance of income planning. How do you help clients develop an income plan?
Right, so when someone comes to me and wants to plan for their retirement, one of the first things that we'll do is we'll look at what their expenses are on a monthly basis. We'll look at what they are currently. We'll look at what they're going to anticipate them to be during their retirement years. Because when someone's working versus when someone's retired, their expenses can change. And when that happens, it can be a very significant increase, or it could also be a decrease in their spending. So again, it depends on the lifestyle that you have during your retirement years. With that said, the expenses determines and dictates what we need to generate for income. So then we will take a look at not only their expenses and factor them with inflation moving forward throughout their retirement years, but we will also look at how we're going to efficiently generate enough income for them to not only handle their expenses when they start to retire, but also make sure that they don't ever outlive their expenses and essentially run out of money during their retirement years. Those are very critical features and factors that we need to take into consideration when making that plan.
So with people living longer, we have to protect assets, but at the same time grow them, right?
That's right. Longevity risk is a key feature. And you mentioned 30 to 40, even 50 years ago, retirement was a totally different situation. You had many more people, many more workers at that time had pension plans. And pension plans meant that really you worked for a certain amount of years. You retired at a set age, and when you did retire, you had guaranteed income from the pension plans to make sure that you never outlived your money. And that was a totally different form of retirement. Well, those pension plans became too expensive for companies and even government agencies to be able to afford. So we've seen a huge decrease in pension plans, and we've seen a significant increase in defined contribution plans. Essentially 401k plans, where you're putting your own paycheck into that. You may or may not get a match from your employer, but that is the route that people are going. It's essentially falling onto their shoulders and their responsibility. So what we do is we make sure that we guide our clients to make sure that when they do make that change and they do retire, that they are going to make sure they have enough money in their 401ks, in their IRAs, traditional IRAs, in their Roth IRAs, and other income sources that they may have, to make sure that we're going to generate as much income for them as we can, and also make sure that they stay keep pace with inflation, because inflation is the hidden cost, essentially, if you will, for people that are living a lot longer and in good health, that can live to be 90 or even 95 to 100 years old. It's not uncommon for people to live to 100 years old as it was 30, 40 years ago.
That's Troy Tremblay in Nashville, Tennessee, and this is Retirement News Online.